Some special lines that we're going to talk about now are parallel and perpendicular lines. Now, if you haven't heard these words before, here they are. These are words that you'll want to have in your notes. So parallel means that the lines run side by side and they never intersect. So here's an example. These two lines run side by side to each other and they go on forever, indicated by the arrows on the ends, and they'll never ever touch each other. So this is an example of parallel lines. If you need help remembering, parallel means they run side by side. I always like to see the two L's in parallel, and that reminds me that the two lines go side by side. The other special line that we're going to learn about is perpendicular lines. These are lines that intersect each other at a 90-degree angle. And 90 degrees is just basically a perfect corner or a perfect square. So notice these two lines intersect each other in one place, and on this intersection each of these angles is 90 degrees. It's a perfect square. So if you were like to take a corner of a piece of paper, it would fit perfectly in each of these angles. So this is an example of perpendicular lines. Now let's take a look and see what the slopes look like of lines that are parallel. So here are two lines that I know are parallel. Let's see what their slopes are. Now remember, in order to find the slope of lines from a graph, I like to use the formula m equals the rise over the run. And I choose 2 points on my line, 2 points that cross at the middle of intersection of grid lines. Here's a good one, and here's a good one. And then I draw the triangle that connects them, and I count the rise and the run. So I go up 1, and I go to the right 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the slope for the blue line is 1 over 3. Now let's take a look at the slope for the green line. Remember, it's rise over run, so let's choose 2 points. Let's choose this one right here and this one right here. That's close enough. Okay, so draw the triangle that connects these 2 points. Now it rises up 1 and goes to the right 3. Interesting. So the rise over the run is 1 over 3. So what do you notice about the slopes of these parallel lines? Well, hopefully you can see just by looking at them, the slope of these lines that are parallel have the exact same slope. So two lines that are parallel have equal slopes. Now let's take a look at the slopes of lines that are perpendicular. Now the blue and the green line here are perpendicular. I know that. I set it up this way. So let's take a look and see what their slopes are. So let's start with the green one this time. So to find the slope, choose 2 points on the line. Let's choose, sorry, I tried to get it as close as I could, but let's choose this one and this one. Once you have points, draw the triangle between them and then count the rise over the run for the slope. So we rise 1, 2, 3, and we run 1, 2. So the slope of this line, oh, I'm sorry, we went to the left, so that means it's a -2. So if we count to the left, that means negative, so that should be -2. Sorry about that. So the slope of this line is -2. By the way, I could tell my answer was going to be wrong because I noticed that it was going downhill, and if it's going downhill, that means my slope should be negative. So that gave me a tip off that my answer was wrong. I needed to have a negative in there somewhere. Okay, now let's take a look at the slope of the blue line. So again, choose 2 points. Let's choose this one and this one right here and draw the triangle. Okay, so the slope for the blue line, the rise over then the run. We rise 2 and run 1, 2, 3. So rise is 2, run is 3. That means the slope is 2/3. Okay, take a look at these slopes. What do you notice about them? Well, they look awfully similar, right? Except one is negative and one is positive. And it looks like the numbers are just flipped. The 2 and it goes 2 over 3 and the other one's 3 over 2. This is true for all perpendicular lines. So we've learned that parallel lines have the same slope. So for example, if the slope of one line is 1/4, a parallel line will have a slope of 1/4 as well. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. Now this is a fancy way of saying opposite means they have opposite signs. So if one's positive, that means the other one will be negative. And reciprocal means that the fraction, the numbers change. So if it's A over B, the other one will be B over A. So perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if the slope of one line was 5/4, a line that is perpendicular to it would be -4/5. The opposite sign, and I flip the numbers. Okay, let's move on to the next lesson video and see what else we can learn about parallel and perpendicular lines.